The primary research technique we used to gain feedback was questionnaires. After coming up with the main design ideas for our local newspaper, we created a questionnaire that we handed out to several people in our class.
The questions we asked after presenting our ideas were about what the audience thought about the masthead, sail line, stories and photos that we had in mind for our newspaper. They were fairly good questions because it asked them directly whether or not we should change them, and it also asked them why. This gave us a good idea of what effect our ideas were having, particularly our masthead sail line. They also asked the audience about our story ideas and which one they preferred so that we would know which stories to report about in our newspaper. This is important because you don't want to put stories in your newspaper that no one's going to be interested about because then nobody would bother reading it.
However, the questions weren't both qualitative and quantitative, which meant that I only got feedback on what people thought about my ideas in terms of how and why, and not in many certain things we should have in my newspaper. For example, one of my questions asks, do you think the photos are appropriate and good? This is a bad question because it only asks the audience whether or not we should use the photos we had in mind for the newspaper. It doesn't ask them why we should or why we shouldn't. It asks them how many photos we should use for our newspaper. This means we had to do extra research ourselves and base the number of photos we used on how many existing newspapers used. For example, the Sheffield Star usually uses one on its cover page and one on its second page.
We did the feedback after coming up with our ideas. This is so that we could get people's thoughts on them, so that if we had to change them, we would be able to before we started implement them in our final designs. For example, we handed out questionnaires after doing our presentation, so we could get feedback on our ideas straight away. After creating 3 designs for our masthead, we asked for feedback on which one people preferred and why. This gave us a better idea for when we were choosing our masthead for the final design, because we was able to consider other people's thoughts on our work instead of just our own. We also asked for feedback and we created the templates for our cover page and second page. We created 3 of each and we wanted to narrow it down to just one so we could use them for our final design.
When we received feedback, I looked at how many people had put similar answers, and the one being the most common was considered. This is by considering the answer that was most popular. I would be improving my product on the majority of the feedback, which would help our product to be successful. For example, when we put the masthead designs on Facebook for our friends to give me feedback on, the most popular masthead was the one that I used on our final product. This was to make sure that I was making my product as popular as it could be, so that it would appeal to a wider audience as possible, making it more successful.
To improve our feedback, we would have asked people that were within our target audience's age group. This is because it means that we would be asking the opinions of people who are very similar to our target audience, meaning our product would have been a lot more accurate for our local newspaper for 45 to 55-year-olds in Kimberworth. This especially applied to the question on our ancillary products. The most popular answer to the question which ancillary product was the best and most interesting and why was the website. If we'd asked people within our target audience and not classmates, then the poster and video trailer probably would have come out on top, as older people tend not to use the internet as much as younger people. We would have also asked questions that were qualitative, so that we'd have a better idea of how many photos and stories that we should have in our newspaper.
We initially thought we could design a number of templates to see which ones were going to fit the style of our newspaper. These mastheads contain different pictures, text, fonts and sizes. This gave us an adverse choice of mastheads. We then gave out questionnaires and put mastheads as JPEGs on Facebook. This allowed people to express opinions and help us decide what needed to be changed or modified. We also asked our media teachers to get another opinion on what had to be done. We use this method on other aspects of design. We created 3 template layouts for our newspapers. This allowed us to make decisions more informed rather than just expressing 2 or 3 opinions. However, Facebook was not feedback from our target audience. This research was not relied on as much because of this factor. Our question structure helped us to get helpful feedback because the questions were simple and asked what should be changed. However, we had badly worded and structured questions also. For example, we had one that asks, do you think the photos are appropriate and good? 1, I don't think this has very good grammar. And 2, it doesn't ask them why, so we can't get any reasons why they think the photos are very good. We collected our feedback and looked at the most popular answers. These were mainly the ones that were considered for use. They were chosen and modified to produce good realistic layouts with help from looking at newspaper layouts that already existed in newspapers, such as the Rotherham Advertiser and the Sheffield Star. We could have improved our feedback from people by asking people aged 45 to 55-year-old who lived in Kimberworth. This would have given us a better idea of what the target audience truly wanted. This would have helped to make our newspaper content more relevant and helped our structure become more suited to the audience. When our feedback was collected, we completed Appendix 6. This involved collecting quantitative data into a table or Microsoft Word, and then we created charts to show all of the results and which choice was the majority and the most popular. We used the online chart tool to do this, which helped to make our results look a lot more clearer and easier to understand. We created a poster and a radio trailer for our newspaper. These were the best choice for our target audience, as posters and paper adverts are everywhere and seen by all people, not just specifically our audience. This increases the amount of people that see our paper. We created a radio advert because more 45 to 55-year-olds listen to radio stations and use the internet at home leisurely. This once again will make sure that our advert will reach as many people of our target audience as possible. Vox Pop should have been used to collect information. This would have helped get more accurate feedback because we could have given out questionnaires to our target audience. This would have made our feedback better and our actual products better. This is because we'd be able to ask more people of a wider audience, and probably also would have been able to ask people within our target audience of 45 to 55-year-olds instead of people of our age from our class.